Away from that, Nollywood is a thriving, fast and growing and globally recognized film industry, but faces significant challenges, including funding, limitation, widespread piracy, and inadequate infrastructure. Now, despite producing a massive volume of film annually, making it the world's second largest by output and contributing billions to Nigeria's GDP, the industry struggles with structural deficiencies, reliance on passions and hustles, and limited international distribution channels, which hinders producers' ability to recoup investments and achieve sustainable growth. Today on the show, we're discussing the state of Nollywood industry, looking at various issues that have so far affected the sector today. Now, joining us is Damilare Akintunde, who is a film business journalist and also co-founder of Shock NG, which has been releasing great content surrounding movies, comedies, comic relief, and games in Nigeria. Good morning. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
You need to put on a smile.
Thank you. Good morning to everybody that's watching the show.
Walk us through this issue of Nollywood in Nigeria. How far have we gone?
Right. So I think first off, it's pretty much important to state how far we've gone, particularly this year in 2025, especially in terms of how producers, filmmakers, and even industry practitioners are navigating the year so far. So the year started with news that we had international streamers like Netflix and Prime Video reducing the number of commissioned license and commissioned content and licensing titles that they are putting on their platforms. So what this means is that these platforms are still available to access in the country, but the Nigerian producers and Nigerian titles that have been put on there significantly reduces. And what that means is that, you know, revenue that is meant to be given to filmmakers that put in their titles on these platforms sort of like has cut down from maybe from a 100% to like a 25%, which means that filmmakers with big budgets that, you know, have films that are made from 200 million and above, they don't have a chance to recoup their profits back. And that's a very hard challenge, because you have people who want to go big, who want to, you know, give the best of the best quality standards in terms of filmmaking and storytelling. They invest in these titles, but there's now a problem of getting their investments back. And that's where, you know, one of the biggest challenges that we had so far this year. But it's also positive. We now have, you know, international recognitions from film platforms like TIFF, from Cannes. You know, we had My Father's Shadow going on to take one of the top prizes there at Cannes, as well as some, you know, some interesting international developments with Nigerian producers and Nigerian talent as well. And so far, it's been, you know, ups and downs, positives and negatives.
So there was a news that I read about sometime last week, and it says that a company in France, Canal Plus, has taken control of MultiChoice.
Correct.
What does that mean for Nigerian and African filmmakers?
Good question. So first off, you need to understand the MultiChoice entity is one of the biggest media players in the continent, not even in Nigeria. And it shows how a French-controlled company called Canal Plus bought the company. So it was a $2 billion deal that was finalized this year. And one of the major flags that everybody's talking about is how a French company has control over an African content creation, or an African media platform, which, you know, there are 40 million households which MultiChoice is serving. And that's a huge control that you're putting from an African hand to an European continent hand. And, you know, of course, there was dollars exchanged in this deal. There's a lot of staff control, and, you know, there's a new CEO in charge of the MultiChoice group now. And it's a conversation of, is this a good thing for us or is this a bad thing for us? On the good side, of course, they're going to invest in much more African content, as said by their CEO in the press release earlier this week. But the problem is, imagine if a French person who has never tasted amala or jollof rice or a South African dish is telling you what type of stories to tell, and, you know, is controlling what news or what entertainment or what sport a 2-year-old or a family in Africa is watching, and that raises serious concerns.
Do you see a challenge here? How do we tell our African stories with this latest development coming from MultiChoice?
So that's the thing, right? We're really hoping that it doesn't go down that path. We're just looking at the different scenarios that might occur. Again, of course, they're going to work hand in hand with the people who have been working in the company for the past 10 years to be able to navigate the next steps. But it's just control. It's just like saying who is the father, who is the mother in the house. They tell you when to wake up, they tell you when to sleep, they tell you what to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that's just the power, the control that they have. It's just what everybody's really, really, I don't know, maybe scared or excited to talk about.
So the control system is not from Johannesburg now, it's not from Paris.
It's not from
That's the sad.
French executives on the board determine what is going on MultiChoice and the platforms that they are affiliated with.
I'm aware that MultiChoice had some issues. Do you think that these issues is, or rather, they are the factors that led to this new acquisition?
So, of course, there are economic challenges, right, on the African continent, where the poverty line is still very much more visible, and subscription rate is even a problem, where every 6 months you are hearing that MultiChoice there's an increase.
I'm tired of those subscription
but
rates
it's the economy, right? So because you know how much it costs to service a 24-hour operating channel, and they now have like 100 channels across those platforms, and they now have dishes and have staffers. People need to be paid. It's a service, right? And if a service is not making money, then somebody's losing money. So because of all of that challenges, right, there has to be new players who are bringing in investments to boost up the challenges of the company, as well as also forge a new path. Because again, right, what's happening is that the Canal Plus is also bringing African content to a global ecosystem, because Canal Plus has a distribution system in the European country, and they are also going to dub most of our content in French. Right, and that also opens up a new revenue monetization, and which again we're hoping that it's a good deal for the continent, and of course every content creator that works with MultiChoice going forward.
Speaking of content creators, looking at this new reality, what can filmmakers, African and Nigerian filmmakers do due to looking at this new reality?
So one of the things producers are now talking about is cut your budget according to your size, where right now we have much more of a product generation. Everybody wants to tell stories, everybody wants to tell the big films and make big films, but the buyer generation is a very, very low right now. We don't have much buyers who you say, oh, I make a film for 250 million naira and I'll buy it for 1 billion naira. We don't have that much buyers in play right now. So again, there comes the conversation of YouTube, and going to cinemas, and going to streaming platforms, and do I want to go to international film festivals who will give me grants and awards? Like, there are different parts to this monetization, but it's just, again, what is the best part that would make me happy in terms of getting me access to the number of people that will see my film, and also generating return on investment for my partners and the people invested in this.
Return on investment is very key, because there's not how you invest that you will not get your investment back. But with this issue of skit making that we are having at the moment, a lot of people are now changing their mindsets. How many Nigerians can sit and watch in Nollywood for 2-3 hours, even in series?
Right. So that's an interesting conversation, and I think we should also separate what a skit maker puts out on a internet platform and what a storyteller puts out on either in cinemas or in streaming. Those are different formats, right? Of course, everything is budged under entertainment, but the value on screen and the time and the resources. A skit maker might probably take 24 hours to make a skit, but a filmmaker will tell you, I've made this film for 5 years of my life.
Even some spend more than that.
Yeah.
Damilare, let me quickly put you on the pause at the moment. We need to pay some bills.
Okay.
And when we come back, you continue with your line of thoughts.
Absolutely.
We'll take a break at the moment. Co-founder Shock NG, Damilare Akintunde, is still very much with us in the studio this morning. Can you continue with your line of thought about this issue of skit making and also the Nollywood industry? So
what I would like to think is there are different tiers of entertainment, right? So everybody is valued on the value chain. A skit maker needs to be enjoyed by the consumers as much as somebody who, maybe like a chemical editor who just put out an 8-episode series on Netflix, To Kill a Monkey. And that becomes cultural context where everybody's singing the songs and talking about sparkles and talking about obos and brotherly, right? So it's just entertainment, right? But what level of production and what level of time-consuming effort is being put to make this entertainment, and that determines the value of the entertainment that consumers are watching. So absolutely, everybody's entitled to make entertainment, but the value chain on which where they fall on is what differentiates a skit maker from Enugu to Kemi Adetiba, who is on the Netflix platform that reaches over 100 million people.
So who's making the money?
That's a good question. So again, right, we're really in a fascinating internet economy, as they say, where everybody from anywhere, once you have a mobile phone and a camera and an internet, you have a news channel, right? And then it's interesting how TikTok these days, if you go to your phone and you open TikTok, you see somebody who is dancing, or you see somebody who is dressing up their mom, or somebody is doing makeup. And those type of monetization comes from, or maybe a brand wants to sponsor a particular type of content because they want to reach a certain demographic, right? So we're going back to our advertisers plan. Who is watching? Where are they watching? At what time of the day are they watching? Is it university students that are watching this content? Or is it a family man that is watching this content? Or even is it a household of 5 that is watching this content? So it's those type of conversation of what eyeballs do you have and what consumer can I reach if I put an advert on your platform? And that's the type of conversation that now determines what is being monetized and what can't be monetized.
So, Damilare, you have a show on YouTube now called State of Nollywood. Tell us more about that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So it's called State of Nollywood Table Talk. And one of the reasons why we made this show was to grade the industry by the industry. So we had 11 important personalities from the film to storytelling to writers, directors, and showrunners who came on the table talk to really grade the industry based on 5 pillars. So the first pillar is infrastructure. Second is in terms of talent and capacity development. Then we have funding. Then we have distribution, and then we now finally have institution and government support. And it was different scores that fascinating that my guest gave on the show. We have somebody who gave a 0. We had somebody who gave a 3 on funding, and we also had people who come on the show and we're not really sure on what type of scores to give the industry, because again, the year hasn't closed out and everybody's just really trying to figure out how to take the step day by day. And it's really something I'm proud of, and hopefully people will get to watch the show and really understand what's really going on behind the scenes in the one. Because again, if it's not making money, it's not making sense.
I love that. If it's not making money,
it's not
making sense. Walk us through this issue of infrastructure that you made mention earlier.
Right. So infrastructure basically is, if I want to make a film, as maybe a financier or somebody who just has a big idea, which production house am I going to go? And what facilities does the production house go? So look at the beautiful studios right here. Anybody can come in here and have access to millions of viewers across the world. This is a production house, right? But imagine if a film investor from Europe or a film investor from America just says, you know what, I have $1 million to make a Nigerian film. Which production house am I going to go that will give me the quality that I want and tell the type of story that I want? So if you count it right, the number of quality production houses we have in the country that are competent, that can give you value for your money, is not still as much as we would really love. It's just a few people who have been able to pull in the resources on a very tight, limited budget, right? And put necessary cameras, VFX, team, editors, writers, and put them all under one building and tell a great story and even monetize on a great level. Because remember, it starts from what's on paper to paper in the bank. And the whole process is what is infrastructure, where you just have an idea on paper and how do you turn it into paper.
So are you advocating that we have more film villages backed by the government?
So that's an interesting question, right? Again, I feel government should just focus on policies as opposed to doing investment, because government has done investments in the past and it has always either gone bad or it disappears, quote unquote. Where the government is telling you, I've donated $1 million to a particular project, and then you look at the project and you're like,
so what's happening?
Is this what I paid for? So again, just create policies, create tax incentives, work with banks to create maybe single-digit loans, and just open up an ecosystem that works for filmmakers, an environment that people can make film and they can just create, and you are not going to get swambled by maybe like a somebody who is from somewhere and doesn't really know what they are doing. But basically, that's what I think.
You spoke about distribution, and let's focus on cinemas. During the break, I mentioned that the cinemas are for the rich.
Right.
What do you have to say about that? And looking at the fact that we have a very, should I say, low number of cinemas compared to our the number of population, or the population of the country.
Do you have an experience, because you said the cinemas are for the rich?
You just Emmanuel, don't embarrass me. Please, I'm a rich woman, please.
So let's run the numbers, right? We have less than 300 screens in the country, right? For a population, how many are we now?
Over 2 million.
Over 200 million.
Million.
Right? And it's baffling because, again, cinemas are how filmmakers monetize their films. So if you're having 300 screens in the country, of course, the average ticket price, which is what my fellow business was talking about, Banke, was talking about how cinema is now for the rich. Of course, it's a business, right? Average ticket prices are close to now maybe 5,000 to 8,000 naira, and without popcorn. Without popcorn. Without popcorn. So again, right? The business is just like, times are tough, and the business that wants to survive will have to find a way to, okay, maybe we can push these prices just a bit, and try to make sure everything is in place. So that's why it feels right now that cinema is a luxury. But hopefully, I think we have a cinema day coming up where ticket sales will go all across the country for 2,000 naira. Hopefully, the Cinema Exhibitor Association of Nigeria would give us a final date where movie lovers like Banke can go to the cinemas.
I don't know why she's using that, because she's among the rich.
And watch a film.
Yes, I am.
But again, right?
Okay.
If you look at the middle class and the high and the what you may call it now, the rich class in the country, we still don't have upper class. We still don't have as much people who are making enough to go to the cinemas once a month. So if you go to an average expressway and stop down we can act, when last did you go to the cinemas, you probably get maybe less than 10 people saying they've gone to cinema.
Because of the proximity, can we also advocate for community cinemas?
Brilliant. So there's a company called Fusion that currently did a community cinema pivot project with a film called Red Circle. So now what they did was they took Red Circle and they took it to the remote places, and ticket prices were as low as, I think, was 2,000 naira. The revenue that was made from that wasn't as much as one would really look at, because again, for community cinemas to work, there has to be scale. So we can't just do 1 or 2, 3 communities. It has to be like 1,000 cinema, community cinema, such that the filmmaker whose film they are putting on those community cinemas see it as something worth engaging in. Because again, films that go to the cinemas, their budgets are nothing less than 200 million. And again, if you're telling me, I want to do a community cinema for you that my revenue there is probably going to be less than $1 million. The filmmaker might be hesitant that, is it 1 million, the revenue of this? And that's even excluding the cuts that the person that's putting it together is going to take at the end of the day. So again, community cinemas, yes, it's a good idea, but it has to work in scale. There's been talks of putting community cinemas in every single hotel across the country, and hopefully that gets executed, and we even see how that works and how Nollywood filmmakers approach. Imagine you, someone who has just made a cinema run and now wants to do a community cinema project after their first theatrical run, and there's another part of revenue that comes from going to community cinemas after a major distribution cinema, before you now do a streaming platform, before you now do a TV, and before maybe you now finally end up on doing YouTube. So it's a different chain of cinema, community cinema, streaming platform, TV licensing. Maybe you can even do international licensing before you now finally release on YouTube, and that's like a 10-year revenue.
I love your passion and the way you spoke this morning. Is there any future for the Nollywood industry in 30 seconds?
Absolutely. The future is always bright for storytellers.
Very bright.
And it's just how do we navigate these tough times and come out strong as a big and better industry.
And I love the fact that you talked about money.
It's all about money.
Ego. Damilare Akintunde, many thanks for joining us on the show this morning.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll take a break this time. When we come back from the break, the sport guys are ready to take us into the interesting world of sports. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.